Have you ever felt like something in your life is shifting, but you can't quite explain it? Like you're standing on the edge of something bigger, something greater, but you don't know what it is or how to step into it? Maybe you've been feeling restless, like the things that used to excite you just don't anymore. Or maybe everything around you seems to be falling apart, and you're wondering why nothing is working the way it used to. Let me tell you something, this is not by accident. This is not just a phase. It's a sign that God is about to do something incredible in your life. You see, before every major breakthrough, before every life-changing moment, there are clear signs that most people overlook. But if you recognize them, if you understand what they mean, you will realize that you are standing at the doorway of transformation. And in that moment, you have a choice to step forward in faith or to stay where it's safe. Tonight, I'm going to share with you 3 undeniable signs that God is shifting your life forever, so that when He calls you to your next level, you won't hesitate. You'll be ready. When God is about to change your life, the first sign is disruption. It is not a small inconvenience or a minor shift in your daily routine. It is a shaking, a breaking, a complete disturbance of what you once knew as normal. You wake up one day and the things that used to make sense no longer add up. The job that once felt secure suddenly becomes uncertain. The people you used to rely on start distancing themselves. The path you were so sure of becomes blurry, and no matter how hard you try to hold things together, they start slipping through your fingers. This kind of disruption is not random. It is intentional. It is divine. It is God's way of moving you when you wouldn't move on your own. See, human nature clings to comfort. We get used to certain routines, certain environments, and certain relationships. We build our lives around what feels safe, what feels predictable, and what feels familiar. But growth and comfort do not go hand in hand. You cannot step into a new season while still holding on to an old one. And when God sees that you are staying in a place that no longer serves your purpose, He does what is necessary to push you forward, even if it means shaking everything around you. Think about the moments in life when you've grown the most. Chances are they were not moments of ease. They were moments of challenge. Moments where you had to let go of something you thought you needed. Moments where the door you were counting on slammed shut in your face. Moments where you found yourself in a place you never expected, asking God, what are you doing? But in those very moments, God was working. He was removing what was no longer meant for you. He was stripping away the distractions. He was positioning you for something greater than you could see at the time. The problem is, when we experience this kind of disruption, we often mistake it for failure. We think we did something wrong. We assume God is punishing us or that we are being abandoned. But in reality, He is protecting us. He is setting us up for what comes next. Sometimes the very thing we are holding on to is the thing that is holding us back. And if we are too afraid to let it go, God will remove it for us, not to harm us, but to free us. Look at how many people in Scripture experienced divine disruption before their breakthrough. Joseph had to be thrown into a pit and sold into slavery before he could become second in command in Egypt. Moses had to leave the palace and live in the wilderness before he could lead his people to freedom. Even Jesus Himself had to endure rejection, betrayal, and suffering before stepping into the fullness of His destiny. None of them could have walked into their purpose without first going through a period of disruption. So, if your life is being shaken right now, if things are falling apart around you, if you are experiencing loss, setbacks, or unexpected changes, do not panic. Do not assume it's the end. Instead, ask yourself, what is God trying to do? Because more often than not, disruption is the first sign that your breakthrough is near. It means you are being positioned for something greater. It means you are being prepared for a new level. It means God is not done with you yet. The challenge is to trust Him through the process. It's easy to have faith when everything is going well, but real faith is tested in the fire. Can you still believe when things don't make sense? Can you still trust Him when the doors are closing? Can you still stand firm when the ground beneath you is shifting? Because if you can, if you hold on, if you keep moving forward despite the storm, you will see that what felt like the end was actually the beginning. The breakdown was the setup. The loss was making room for something better, and the disruption was never meant to destroy you, it was meant to deliver you. There comes a moment in life when you begin to feel uneasy, not because something is wrong, but because something inside of you is shifting. The things that once excited you no longer bring the same joy. The routines that used to feel fulfilling now feel empty. The place you once felt comfortable in suddenly feels too small. It's not that your circumstances have changed dramatically, it's that something within you has. This is not just a passing feeling or a temporary frustration. This is divine restlessness, and it is one of the clearest signs that God is preparing you for something new. Divine restlessness is not the same as dissatisfaction. It is not the same as being ungrateful. It is an inner stirring, a whisper in your spirit that says you were made for more. You can be successful by the world's standards and still feel this pull. You can have everything you thought you wanted and still sense that something is missing. This is because when God is about to elevate you, He first has to unsettle you. He has to remove the contentment that keeps you in one place for too long. He has to create a hunger inside of you for something greater. And when you begin to feel that restlessness, it is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is coming. At first, this restlessness can be confusing. You may look at your life and wonder why you feel the way you do. You may tell yourself, I should be happy. I have everything I need. But deep down, you know there is something more. You know you were meant for something beyond where you are. And the more you try to ignore it, the stronger it becomes. This is because God never plants a desire in your heart without a purpose behind it. He doesn't give you dreams just to tease you. He doesn't allow you to feel unsettled without having a plan to move you forward. That longing in your soul is His way of preparing you for the next step. When you experience divine restlessness, one of the first things that happens is that the things you once tolerated become unbearable. The conversations that once entertained you now seem empty. The environments you once felt comfortable in now drain your energy. The work you once enjoyed now feels like a burden. This is because God is showing you that you have outgrown where you are. Just like a seed cannot stay buried forever, you cannot remain in a place that no longer nurtures your growth. There comes a time when you must break through the soil, reach for the light, and step into the fullness of what God has for you. This process can be unsettling. It can feel like you are losing interest in everything. It can feel like nothing excites you anymore. But this is not depression. This is transformation. This is God shifting your perspective so that you can see beyond where you are now. He is allowing you to become uncomfortable so that you do not settle. Because if you are too comfortable, you will never move. And if you never move, you will never grow. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life come not when you feel ready, but when you feel restless. That is the moment when God is stirring something inside of you that cannot be ignored. That is when you start to feel pulled in a new direction, even if you don't know exactly where you are going. You may not have all the answers. You may not know the full picture, but that restlessness is proof that your season is about to change. You are being prepared for something bigger than what you can see. And when you feel that pull, you have to be willing to listen. Because divine restlessness is not there to frustrate you, it is there to free you. There comes a time when you are faced with a decision that requires you to step out of everything you have ever known. It is not a comfortable decision. It is not one that comes with guarantees. It is a moment that demands faith, a moment where logic tells you to stay, but your spirit tells you to move. This is the leap of faith, and it is the third and final sign that God is about to change your life forever. A leap of faith is never easy. It requires you to let go of control, to step into the unknown without all the answers, and to trust that God has already gone ahead of you. Most people never take this step because fear holds them back. They want certainty, they want a blueprint, they want to know every detail before they move. But faith does not work that way. Faith is moving forward when you can only see the next step, not the whole staircase. It is trusting that even if you don't know how it will all come together, God does. God never calls you to take a leap of faith when you feel completely ready. He calls you when it is time. He calls you when the season you are in has expired. He calls you when staying where you are is no longer an option. By this point, you have already experienced disruption. You have already felt the divine restlessness stirring inside of you. Now all that remains is action. But action requires courage. Action requires the willingness to step forward even when fear whispers in your ear. And this is where most people hesitate. They stand at the edge of the leap, looking down at everything they might lose, rather than looking ahead at everything they might gain. The enemy knows this. He knows that fear is the biggest weapon he can use to stop you from moving forward. He will fill your mind with doubt, telling you that you are not ready, that you will fail, that you are making a mistake. He will use every insecurity, every past failure, and every uncertain detail to convince you to stay where it's safe. But what he does not tell you is that staying where it's safe can also mean missing what God has for you. The enemy does not fight people who are standing still. He fights those who are on the verge of stepping into something greater. Taking a leap of faith does not always mean doing something dramatic. It does not always mean quitting your job tomorrow or moving to another country overnight. Sometimes the leap of faith is making a difficult decision that you've been avoiding. Sometimes it is walking away from a relationship that is holding you back. Sometimes it is finally acting on the dream God placed in your heart years ago, but that you were too afraid to pursue. Whatever it is, it requires trust, it requires obedience, and it requires the understanding that God does not call you to a leap without already preparing a landing. Look at every great person in Scripture and you will see this pattern. Noah had to build an ark before he ever saw rain. Abraham had to leave his homeland before he knew where he was going. Peter had to step out of the boat before he could walk on water. They did not wait for full clarity. They did not wait for the perfect conditions. They moved in faith, and because they moved, God met them in ways they never could have imagined. This is how God operates. He does not give you all the answers before you take the step. He waits for you to step, and then he provides. That is the test of faith. It is the test of whether you will trust him even when you cannot see. And if you are at this point in your life, if you know in your heart that God is calling you to something greater, but fear is trying to hold you back, then you are standing at the edge of your leap. The only question is whether you will take it. When God is about to change your life forever, one of the clearest signs is an increase in trials and challenges. Suddenly, things become harder. Obstacles seem to appear out of nowhere. Situations that were once simple now feel complicated. Relationships that were once strong begin to shake. Doors that you expected to open remain shut. No matter how much effort you put in, it feels like you are being resisted at every turn. This is not a coincidence. It is not just bad luck. It is a sign that you are on the verge of something significant. Whenever you are about to step into a new level of your destiny, there will be opposition. This is because growth comes with resistance. Think of an athlete training for a major competition. The closer they get to their moment of victory, the harder the training becomes. The weight gets heavier, the workouts become more intense. The body feels exhausted, but this is not punishment, it is preparation. Without the resistance, they would not gain the strength needed for what is ahead. In the same way, when God is preparing to elevate you, he allows challenges to come, not to break you, but to strengthen you. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is that when they are walking in God's plan, everything will be easy. They assume that if something is truly meant for them, there will be no struggle. But the truth is, the greatest blessings often come after the greatest battles. Look at the lives of those who accomplished incredible things. Before they stepped into their calling, they faced intense challenges. David had to fight Goliath before he could become king. Joseph was betrayed, enslaved, and imprisoned before he reached the palace. Jesus himself was tested in the wilderness before he began his ministry. The trials are not signs that you are on the wrong path. They are confirmation that you are exactly where you need to be. The enemy always attacks what he fears. If you were not a threat, if you were not about to walk into something powerful, there would be no need for resistance. But the moment you get close to stepping into your God-ordained purpose, opposition increases. The enemy will try to discourage you. He will try to distract you. He will try to wear you down to the point where you question whether you should keep going. But his attacks are proof that you are closer than you think. He is not fighting you over where you are. He is fighting you over where you are going. This is why trials intensify before a breakthrough. The pressure builds because you are on the edge of something life-changing. But in these moments, the most important thing you can do is not quit. Too many people give up when the pressure increases. There are people that give up because they're so burned out, they do not want to deal with any more pressure. There are people that give up when the pressure increases. They assume the hardship means they are not meant to move forward. But the truth is, the resistance is often the final test before the breakthrough. It is in those moments of struggle that God is refining you. He is removing fear, doubt, and weakness. He is building endurance, faith, and character. Because where he is taking you, you cannot afford to be weak. You cannot afford to carry the same mindset, the same insecurities, or the same distraction. The trials are designed to prepare you for the weight of the blessing that is coming. What you are going through is not for nothing. Every challenge is shaping you. Every obstacle is positioning you. Every setback is setting you up for a comeback. The pressure is not meant to crush you. It is meant to propel you. Because when God is about to change your life, he will first allow you to be tested. Not to see if you can survive, but to see if you are ready to thrive. And if you can push through, if you can endure, if you can keep moving forward despite the resistance, then what awaits you on the other side will be greater than anything you could have imagined. When God is about to change your life forever, one of the most telling signs is the sudden shift in the people around you. Some people you once depended on begin to drift away. Relationships you thought were solid start to feel strained. You notice that certain friendships no longer serve you the way they once did. At first, it may feel confusing, even painful. You wonder why people you trusted are pulling away, why communication that once flowed easily now feels forced. But this is not rejection, it is realignment. God removes people who can't go where he is taking you. Not because they are bad, but because their role in your journey is complete. Some people were only meant to be in your life for a season, but we often try to hold on to them for a lifetime. When you are stepping into a new chapter, you cannot take everyone with you. The next level of your life requires new connections, new wisdom, and sometimes a new circle. This is why certain friendships start to feel unnatural when your spirit begins to grow. It is not that you have changed for the worse, it is that your purpose is calling you higher. And not everyone is willing to climb with you. One of the hardest things to accept is that some people were only meant to be part of your journey for a time. They served a purpose in your past, but they are not meant to be part of your future. Holding on to them can actually delay your blessing. If you are constantly surrounded by people who do not align with where God is leading you, you may find yourself resisting the very growth you prayed for. This is why, when God is preparing to elevate you, He often isolates you first. He removes distractions. He clears the noise. He allows you to see relationships for what they truly are, not for what you wish them to be. At the same time that some people are leaving, new people will start entering your life. These are individuals who push you forward, who speak life into your dreams, who challenge you to be better. They may not always look the way you expected, and they may not come in the way you anticipated, but they are God's way of equipping you for what is next. These connections may feel unfamiliar at first because they require a different version of you, one that is growing, evolving, stepping into a new level of faith, and sometimes embracing the new means letting go of the old. This shift in relationships is not meant to harm you, it is meant to position you. If God allowed certain people to stay in your life, they might hold you back from the very thing you are being called to do. Some people carry mindsets of fear, negativity, or complacency, and if you stay connected to them, their energy will begin to shape your decisions. When God removes them, it is because He wants to free you from anything that could slow you down. It is because He knows the relationships you truly need to fulfill your purpose. Separation is never easy. There will be moments when you feel lonely, moments when you miss what was familiar. But trust that God is making room for something better. If you feel relationships shifting, if you sense distance growing between you and certain people, do not fight it. Do not force connections that no longer align with where you are going. Trust that God is orchestrating every change for your good, because when He is about to change your life, He first changes the people around you, and the ones He sends next will be exactly who you need to walk into your next season. When God is about to change your life forever, one of the most powerful signs is an undeniable increase in divine guidance and signs. Suddenly, you start noticing things that seem too specific to be a coincidence. Conversations line up perfectly with what you've been praying about. Messages from sermons, songs, or even strangers seem to speak directly to your spirit. Doors that seemed impossible to open begin to unlock, and pathways that once looked uncertain start becoming clearer. It's not just intuition, it's God guiding you in ways that are impossible to ignore. At first, these signs may seem small. You may brush them off as random moments of encouragement. But the more they happen, the more you realize they are connected. God speaks in many ways, through circumstances, through people, through scripture, through inner conviction. When He is shifting your life, He makes His presence undeniable. He removes the distractions that once clouded your ability to hear Him, and He increases the clarity of His voice in your spirit. You may start waking up with an unexplainable peace about a decision you were once afraid to make. You may feel a deep sense of assurance even when things around you seem uncertain. These are not accidents. This is divine alignment. One of the most common ways God gives direction is through repetition. When He is trying to get your attention, He often allows the same message to come to you in different ways. You may hear a sermon that speaks directly to your situation, then open your Bible to a passage that confirms the same thing. A friend might unknowingly say the exact words you needed to hear, reinforcing what God is already placing in your heart. When this happens, do not ignore it. God does not waste words. If He is repeating something, it is because He wants you to listen. Sometimes divine guidance comes in the form of a deep, unshakable conviction. Sometimes people know what they're supposed to say until the moment they unfold it all. You may not have all the details figured out, but you feel pulled toward a certain direction. It may be a new opportunity, a change in career, or a decision that requires bold faith. In your natural mind, it may not make sense, but in your spirit, you know it is right. This is how God works. He does not always reveal the full picture at once, but He gives just enough confirmation for you to take the next step. God also uses obstacles to guide you. Sometimes we assume that when things don't work out, it means we failed. But in reality, closed doors are often a part of divine direction. If something you desperately wanted didn't happen, if an opportunity you prayed for slipped away, do not see it as rejection. See it as redirection. What looks like a setback is often God's way of protecting you from something that was never meant for you. He allows some plans to fail because He has something greater. Another way God leads you is through an overwhelming sense of peace. Even when stepping into the unknown, you will find that His presence brings a calm that defies logic. It does not mean you will never feel nervous or uncertain, but deep down there is a stillness in your soul. This is the kind of peace that Philippians 4:7 speaks about. A peace that surpasses all understanding. It is not based on circumstances, but on divine assurance. When you experience this, trust it. When God is leading you somewhere, He will never leave you without His peace. As God begins to shift your life, you will feel a heightened awareness of His presence. You will notice how everything seems to align in ways you never expected. You will sense His guidance more clearly, and you will recognize that what once felt random is actually orchestrated. Pay attention, trust the signs, because when God is about to change your life, He makes sure you know He is walking with you every step of the way. Everything you've been feeling, everything you've been going through, it's not random, it's preparation. The disruption in your life, the divine restlessness in your spirit, the doors closing, the people leaving, the trials increasing, the undeniable signs pointing you in a new direction, these are not setbacks, they are setups. They are signs that God is moving, that He is shifting you, that He is preparing you for something far greater than where you are now. But here's the truth. Not everyone steps into their breakthrough. Not everyone recognizes the signs or has the faith to move when God calls. Some people stay stuck in fear, stuck in their comfort zones, stuck in places that no longer serve them. But you don't have to be one of them. When God starts shaking things up in your life, don't resist it. Embrace it. When He calls you to step out, don't hesitate. Trust Him, because if He is leading you somewhere new, it's because He has already gone ahead of you and prepared the way. This is your moment. This is your confirmation. The only question left is, will you trust God enough to step into what He has for you?